Okay, so what if I told you there's a way to build some serious strength, lower your blood pressure, and even help with chronic back pain, all without moving a single inch? I know, it sounds kind of crazy, but this is the secret of isometrics. It's a technique that legends have used, and now modern science is backing it up in some pretty fascinating ways. So let's dive in and see how you can actually build strength in total stillness. And this quote from the one and only Bruce Lee really sets the stage perfectly. I mean, the guy was a master of efficiency, and we're about to look at one of his most powerful, but also most misunderstood training secrets: isometrics. He was all about what actually works. And this method, well, it's the definition of that. So, how did Bruce Lee get that incredible power that just seemed to defy his size? Well, obviously his skill was a huge part of it, but one of his key methods back in the late 60s was this simple but unbelievably intense form of training: isometrics. And this wasn't about lifting weights up and down, no. This was about unleashing maximum force against something that just would not budge. And the crazy thing is how simple his setup was. He'd just put a barbell in a power rack and lock it in place. Then, he would push or pull against that bar with everything he had for just 6 to 12 seconds. The bar didn't move an inch, but the tension his muscles were generating, it was absolutely immense. That was the whole idea, pitting his body against a force it couldn't overcome. And he applied this idea to really specific, important points in major lifts. Just picture it. You're at the very bottom of a squat, usually your weakest point, and you're pushing up against that locked bar with 100% of your effort. Or you're pulling on a bar from the very start of a deadlift. See, this wasn't just about building bigger muscles. It was about training his brain and nervous system to generate the most force possible, exactly where he needed it. All right, so we've seen what Bruce Lee did, but what was actually going on there scientifically? Well, this brings us to the modern science of isometrics, and it turns out not all isometrics are created equal. In fact, there are two really different types, and knowing the difference is the key to using them the right way. So first, let's get the basic science down. An isometric contraction is just when your muscle creates force, but the length of the muscle doesn't change, so there's no visible movement at the joint. Simple enough, right? But it's how you create that force that splits isometrics into two totally different categories. And this really shows the two sides of the coin. Over on the left, you've got pushing isometrics. That's the Bruce Lee style. We're talking maximum all-out effort against something that won't move for a really short time. Then on the right, you have holding isometrics. This is probably what you think of first, like holding a plank or a wall sit. It's a sustained, less than maximal effort that you hold for a lot longer. They both create tension without movement, but believe me, what they do for your body is completely different. The pushing style is all about raw power and peak performance. It literally teaches your nervous system to fire on all cylinders, recruiting your biggest, most powerful muscle fibers, what scientists call high-threshold motor units. It's like your brain learns to flip the power switch for your muscles all the way to max, instantly. This improved neural drive makes you way more efficient at using the strength you already have, which is why it's the absolute best tool for smashing through strength plateaus. Now, holding isometrics, on the other hand, are all about stability and endurance. They are fantastic for teaching your body how to maintain good joint position and posture. They improve your motor control, and they're incredibly safe and effective, which makes them a go-to tool in physical therapy or for building that solid foundation of stability before you even think about lifting heavy. Okay, so isometrics can make you stronger and more stable. That's awesome for athletes, sure. But here's where the story gets really surprising. This super simple training method is showing some pretty profound effects in modern medicine for conditions that affect millions and millions of us every single day. Just look at this number for a second, -6.77 millimeters of mercury. Now, I know that might not sound like a lot, but trust me, in the world of heart health, that is a huge, really meaningful drop. This is the average reduction in systolic blood pressure, that's the top number, that a major scientific review found from isometric training. And get this, a meta-analysis, which is basically a study of studies, found that isometric exercises can lower blood pressure more effectively than traditional aerobic exercise like running or even dynamic resistance training like lifting weights. That's just an incredible finding. This simple, static exercise can have a major impact on one of the biggest risk factors for heart disease. So we know it's good for your heart, but what about, our skeletons? Specifically, what about chronic low back pain? It's something that up to 80% of us will deal with at some point. Can just holding a static position really make a difference? Well, a randomized controlled trial put this to the test, and the results were incredible. After just an 8-week program, the group doing isometrics saw their average pain score get cut almost in half, dropping from a 5.5 all the way down to a 2.7. Their disability score dropped significantly too. And the control group, the one that did no special exercise, look at that, they barely changed at all. This just goes to show that isometrics can provide some powerful, real-world relief. So this is all pretty fascinating, right? But the absolute best part about isometrics is just how easy they are to get into. You don't need a gym, you don't need a power rack like Bruce Lee to get started and start getting these benefits. So let's take a look at how you can start, like right now. You can start with these simple, super effective holding isometrics with literally nothing but your own body weight. A wall sit, a plank, holding a glute bridge. These are amazing foundational exercises that build stability and endurance. You can do them anywhere, anytime. It's just an incredibly practical way to build a stronger, more resilient body. And what if you want to tap into that more intense, pushing, Bruce Lee style of training? Well, you still don't need a gym. Just grab a towel or a belt or a rope. Loop it around your foot and pull, or hold it between your hands and try with all your might to pull it apart. And just like that, you've created your own immovable object. You can safely generate that peak force just like the dragon himself did. So you see, this isn't just some old school training technique or a historical fun fact. It's a real, scientifically backed tool for building strength, improving your stability, and boosting your health in ways you probably never expected. It really makes you rethink what exercise even has to look like. So it kind of leaves you with one final thought. If you can build this kind of power in stillness, what else could you achieve?